Hey, what's going on, guys? Battle Nation Zimper here, back today with another video. And today, guys, we're back in the sandbox. Just wanted to have some nice little gameplay in the background while I'm talking about this. I love the old standing images background, but just think it would be more interesting and more entertaining for you guys if I had some active, at least gameplay in the background of Battle Nations. I'm going to try to do that going forward, at least for some of these videos, because I think it would make it better. Just trying to, again, improve these videos as we're going. But in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to spend our nanopods and more just general advice and guidelines for when spending our nanopods. So of course, just want to clarify a few things real quick. One, this isn't what you should spend your nanopods on. We're not going to go over particular buildings and units I think are good. A lot of people have made videos like that before. They've done great jobs on them, and we can make a video like that. But just to start off here talking about spending nanopods, I thought it'd be a good idea just to go over guidelines for general rules when spending nanopods. So of course, if you guys have any recommendations or ideas for spending nanopods of your own, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to read it with the rest of the community. Also, just going to say this real quick before we jump into today's video, because I know I've mentioned it a lot, but I just want to thank you guys so much for 851 subscribers. This channel is blowing the freak up. It is insane. Thank you guys so much for the growth. Of course, trying to make these videos better and better each and every single one. So with all that being said, let's jump right into today's video, just giving generalized advice on spending nanopods. And number one is never spend nanopods on timers. Now, not gonna lie, this is a hard one. I understand, you get something you really want, whether it be a unit promotion, whether, it's finally that building you've waited so long to get, you finally put it down, you finally save up the resources to get it, and now you gotta wait. You either gotta wait, a few hours, sometimes even like, over a day for something, and it's really, really tempting to want to hit that, spin nanopods feature. And, if it's 12 hours, spend 12 nanopods, or even if it's like 2 days, quickly spend 48 nanopods and get that 2 days done instantly. But guys, I'm telling you, as much as it's tempting, and trust me, I know I've been there, you can't do it because it's just never a good idea. It's almost always better to wait. Now, of course, there's always exceptions. Like, for example, let's say you have your best friend over and he's never heard of Battle Nations, and you just wanted to show him a particular unit. You go to train it and it's going to take 2 hours to train, right? You spend those two nanopods to immediately get that unit and show your friend IRL, while he's standing with you. That's completely understandable. Or, maybe it's, your birthday or a special occasion. By all means, treat yourself, right? But in general, it is very, very good, in my opinion, to normally just wait it out. Don't freak out. Just wait for whatever that timer is to complete, because it's going to be better in the end. I kind of used this trick back in the day on Clash of Clans, and then I used it on Battle Nations once I got into Battle Nations, and I thought about it like this. I would have loved a nanopod machine. Of course, they did eventually add a gem machine, or I'm sorry, a gem mine in Clash Royale, and for Clash of Clans gems. But at the end of the day, they never did have a nanopod machine, but I always wanted one. I dreamed of such a thing. And I always thought to myself, imagine if I had a machine that generated 1 nanopod per hour. And that's all it did, just generated 1 nanopod per hour. And me personally, I would kill for such a machine. Like, I would do anything for such a machine. I would pay any amount of money. I would have gone through any single length. A machine that generated 1 nanopod per hour to me would have been the coolest freaking thing in the world. And yet, when you think about it, that's what you're doing when you decide to, be the bigger man, take a step up and not spend nanopods on timing. Because, I mean, that is what it is. You're spending, let's say, 48 nanopods to skip a 2 day timer. Well, if you wait out those 2 days, whatever it is, you just sit down and, you wait. That's 48 nanopods in your pocket, and you basically just generated 48 nanopods over the course of 48 hours for doing absolutely nothing. So that's rule one. Just wanted to get that out of the way because, in my opinion, it's one of the biggest. If at all possible, unless you're treating yourself or you're in a special circumstance, never spend nanopods on time speed ups. Number two is never spend your nanopods on early game units. Now, don't get me wrong, are early game units fun? Absolutely. They're amazing, they're cool, they're super unique. I love the Shock Trooper, I love the Mortar Team, and oh boy, do I love the Heavy Recon Vehicle. They're all fun, they're all enjoyable, but at the end of the day, the problem with them is, well, you get them, They're amazing at the time, and you probably speed through all the missions and battles because you got a few medium, you got a few mortar tanks, you get maybe got one or two heavy recon vehicles, but then you level up, and now they're not so good. You get to level 40, which is the max right now, and you can't use them anymore. You can't use mortar team to take on you know the ancient construction, right? So my biggest advice when buying nanopod units is always wait towards the late game. And I know, again, that's hard. And is this an absolute rule? Absolutely not. If you're able to afford to spend nanopods, without a care in the world, if you're great, if you're blessed enough to be able to do that, or if let's just say, you really like the mortar team, it for you is the funnest thing in Battle Nations. By all means, don't let me ruin your parade. Don't let me, block you from spending it however you want. This is just my personal advice to the world of how I spend my nanopods. But me personally, I will never buy a mortar team. I will never buy a shock trooper, simply because as good as they are early on, they get outranked so freaking quickly. They get, I hate to say it, but they get useless pretty quickly because they help you progress through the game so quickly, and eventually they're just useless, and that's sad, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, Battle Nations isn't the game, where you could sell those units, for a slight refunded nanopods. No, those mortar teams are forever going to be, in your base, in your army, just sitting there gathering dust. And that's nothing against them. It's just a factor of, you spent nanopods on them. They got you through the early levels very quickly, and now you just really don't have a use for them. So that would be my second biggest advice when spending nanopods. If at all possible, never buy early on game premium units just because they'll rank out so quickly, and they will not help you in later game. Because while it might be fun, while it might be cool, and by all means, if you really do like it, don't let me stop you. Play the game how you want. Have as much fun as you can. Of course, only you know how much fun you can have with Battle Nations, or what you can do to have the most fun in Battle Nations, I should say. But for me personally, my advice, just don't buy those early game units. Save up for your mega tanks, save up for your plasma artillery, save up for the late game nanopod units that are really going to make a punch. And third, in my opinion, for when spending your nanopods, is wait for a limited edition sale. Now you might be going, wait a second, do we have limited edition sales? And the answer is no, not quite yet, unfortunately. And rest assured, we probably, knock on wood, will, and I'll say that with like 80% confident. Madrona Games is a great company. I don't think they would, mess around with that type of stuff, because the original Battle Nations had tons of deals. If you were willing to wait for a weekend or a special event, they would knock off the price of nanopods. They would make ninjas cheaper. They would do so many discounts for so many different units that if you were willing to wait for your favorite unit, you could probably wait till they gave them a 15, 20, maybe even 30, 35% discount, and now you're getting them a lot cheaper. If you want to bulk up on ninjas and they're 25% off, well, now, every fourth ninja, it's like it's free. Not exactly, but, you guys get the, concept. So if at all possible, when bulking up, I would highly recommend to wait for sales. As far as when we will get sales, I'll admit, I think it might be a little bit. I think it might take a little bit of time, but at all means, it definitely would be good to wait, especially if you have a premium unit that you want to max out on, you want to get a whole bunch of, but you don't need it this second. I would highly recommend waiting if you can. And fourth bit of advice is hold a nanopod reserve. So, what does this mean? It just means don't go broke on nanopods. Of course, you don't need 999 nanopods like we have right here in the Sandbox Unlimited, and your reserve is totally determined by you. Some people like to have at least 100, some people like to have at least 1,000. I know people who never drop below a 10,000 nanopods, which is insane because that's literally hundreds of dollars worth of nanopods, but it's just how they play the game. It's how they enjoy the game, and it's personally, what they would never want to be seen with less than. Fair enough for them. So set a nanopod reserve by yourself. You, of course, know the best limit for yourself, and make sure you don't go beneath that. And the reason I say this is because you never know when Battle Nations is going to do its first sale. You never know when Battle Nations is going to drop its first limited edition unit. Of course, we probably will get some information from the devs. It'll probably be advertised in the Discord and on Reddit beforehand, but maybe not. Maybe it'll just drop one day as a huge surprise, and you don't want to be caught with your pants down with no nanopods, at least in my opinion. So my advice would be to always have at least some nanopods on hand. Again, you decide that number. If I had to decide a number, I would say at least 100, a little bit more would be ideal. But, if you're always holding at least 100 nanopods, that gives you some breathing room. That lets you purchase maybe a limited edition unit if it comes out. That lets you get, a cool building, maybe, a discounted item if it goes on sale. Just always have something in the bank so you're never broke. And also just so you can feel a little bit cool. You know at the end of the day, you got some money to spend. You got some scratch. So that would be my fourth piece of advice. Have a little nest egg of nanopods set aside for when anything might come up. And finally, my last bit of advice for spending nanopods for today's video is when it comes out, grind, 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 watch an ad for a nanopod. Now, it has been confirmed on the Battle Nations Discord by the developers that watch an ad for a nanopod is coming back, which I'm so freaking excited about because I made a video about it a while ago called Battle Nations Free Nanopods. And in that video, I literally said, I hope this feature comes back, and it has now been confirmed by the developers to be coming back. I'm so freaking excited for it. So when that feature comes back, I cannot recommend this enough. Watch, watch, watch. Watch as many ads as they'll let you watch. I'm almost like positive, like 90% confident, maybe like 85, no, probably more like 95%, that they're going to put a hard limit on it, i.e. you can't just sit there and watch unlimited ads, because let's be honest, that'd be kind of broken. There'll probably be some kind of soft limit in there where you can only watch a certain amount of ads a day, and I would highly recommend everybody setting themselves a daily reminder, me included, I'll be doing it myself, to always go on your account and always watch the maximum amount of ads they will let you. Whether that be 10 ads for 10 nanopods, whether that be 25 ads for 25 nanopods. Just max out the amount of ads that they will let you watch, because I personally think this will be one of the best features ever. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be a huge W for freemium players, for people playing the game for free, because you will now have a continual income, a continual source of income of nanopods for free, which is just so massive. I'm so excited they're bringing that back, and that's just another Madrona Games win. Like, just a common Madrona Games W, if you ask me. So yeah, when that feature comes back, cannot recommend it enough. Watch, watch, watch as many ads as you can. As many as they'll let you, just grind it out. And if it's, every 4 hours they let you watch, more ads, set a timer for every 4 hours. If it's every day, set a daily reminder. If it's every week, you already know, weekly reminders, right? So just that type of stuff. Just make sure you're constantly setting watches for yourself, and just make sure, when it comes up, you're ready for it. And yeah, guys, that would just about do it for today's video. Just wanted to make this quick video giving some general advice and guidelines for spending nanopods. I have a few more that I could make, but just want to do a little quick video here today. If you guys like this video, of course, let me know in the comments down below, and we can definitely make a part 2 to this one. I can even include some more recommendations from this comment section, so if you guys leave some great recommendations, please say, hey, I would like to be featured in the next, Nanopods recommendation video, and give me a shout out here, whether it's your YouTube channel or a social media you pick. Just let me know, and I can definitely do that. And yeah, guys, that will just about do it for us today. If you are still watching this, thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider dropping a like down below and subscribing to the channel if you are new. If you have any questions, suggestions, any concepts for Battle Nations, any suggestions for me, any suggestions for Battle Nations, any future content you would like to see, or you just want to say spaghetti tacos in the comment section down below, any comment down below is welcome. Of course, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel if you are new, as already mentioned. And yeah, guys, that will do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day. Man, I love this sandbox so much. It's so freaking cool.